Hello, everybody. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to Just Bleed Radio. Today is Sunday, December 8th, 2024, and this is the Weekend Roundup. Heavy hitters and high rollers, welcome to the Weekend Roundup episode 33. No Masonic symbolism on today's show, but there will be plenty of debauchery as we saddle up to the table to discuss all the events of UFC 310, live from the neon-soaked streets of Sin City. That's right, bright lights and high-stakes gambles for the final pay-per-view of 2024. With the flyweight championship on the line in the main event and two undefeated fighters in the co-headliner. We'll get into all that and much, much more. So before I spin my wheels any further, pay the ante and hit the like button. I'll even raise you a subscribe. All right, then let's quickly bring in the boys. Roll call time. He's our native Californian, born and bred, West Coast to the core, and he loves a hazy IPA from the Sierra Valley. His mama named him Austin, but we call him No Special. How you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling good. Fights are great. Great weekend. I'm excited. I'm excited because I got some takes.
Yeah, you did have some heat in the can for this one. All right, well, the self-titled Count of Casuals is also here. He also doubles as an agent for the British Secret Service. He spends many late nights toiling away beneath Scotland Yard, but he still makes time every week for us average civvies. Danger Mouse, how goes life for you?
I'm like the remains of a candle that's been badly burnt at both ends at the moment, but we'll go on to that later. Yeah, I'm not too bad, guys.
Well, glad you're here. I'm glad you're hanging in there. All right. And lastly, our three-man dream team, they bring our sickening imaginations to life around here. So if you've ever found yourself chuckling at something on screen, it was likely their doing. Or at least Chatri's doing and the other two supervised. Give it up for Dave, Super Steven, and Big Dog Chatri.
Hi, guys.
All right, and me, you guys know me. I am the BED. Okay, now, everyone is on a name-to-name basis, so you guys know what time it is. Let's get into the first fight of the main card to start today. A featherweight matchup between two fan favorites known for firefights. Tennessee boy Nate Landwehr brought that southern swagger to Vegas to take on South Korea's resident superboy, Doo-Ho Choi. The matchmakers put this one at the start of the card to set the tone, and by golly did it. Choi gets the TKO stoppage, elbows from the crucifix, 3:21 of round number 3. Maybe not the tug-of-war that most had anticipated, but a major step up to a whole new level for Choi, showing a far more developed game and some commendable patience to stay composed and finish a tough, dirty bastard like Nate Landwehr. Seemingly rocking Nate from shot number 1 in the fight and never really letting up the pressure. Everything he threw shook Landwehr, and the train never managed to right the rails and get on track. By far the shining performance of Choi's now 10-year-long UFC career, and still just 33 years old. So I personally was highly impressed by his evolution in this fight, including his newfound skill at this thing called head movement. Head movement! I'll pass it over to you guys now, although, Austin, let's start with you. What did you think of the performance of both men here?
No, I was kind of nervous to begin with because you saw Landwehr literally go straight to him, and I was like, oh, shit. We're either going to get a firefighter, it's going to end very quickly. But pretty much Choi kept his cool, kept his composure. He didn't try to brawl like we've noticed him do in fights previously. Landwehr, for some reason, just kind of seemed to get stunned, like you said, over and over again, and seemed to kind of lose the plot of the fight. Because usually he's a little bit of a controlled chaos kind of guy, Whip my ass, see what happens, But he's a wild card, because sometimes he'll show up and look good, and sometimes he shows up and he doesn't. This is one of those times where it's like he just didn't have an answer that was able to put, the Superboy on the back foot. And if he did, it was very brief. The clinching seemed to help, but not stop Doo-Ho Choi. The counters landed crisply, and he had very little answers to kind of counter everything that was coming at him. Matter of fact, it seemed to not work at all. Even like when they got to the finish with the crucifix, and you could just see Landwehr was just like over it. Like Doo-Ho Choi showed up, man, and I was kind of hoping this is the version we were going to get from him. I mean, because I remember seeing him be composed and be calculated. Like, he's good. He's good when he puts it together. He's good. When he doesn't get into a firefight, he's good. When he's like, leading the dance, he's capable. It's, maybe that's just because the fatherhood finally kind of put, a little bit more perspective for him. That's good. That's good. Because, he said he's expecting another baby. But, damn, did he look good tonight, even though he's, like you said, 10 years and he's only had a handful of fights. I wish we could have seen more of him. Damn. But he looked good. You look good. You can't not be happy for Doo-Ho Choi. He put a very, very great performance out there, and handed a tough vet and Landwehr a very, very solid defeat. I'm hoping we get to see him fairly soon, but I'm excited for his next fight regardless.
Yeah, man. I thought that fucking Doo-Ho just looked phenomenal. Like, I was really blown away by the different layers to his game that he showed, because, everybody knows that he's not a guy that's going to back down from a fight. So typically, if you got a guy like Nate Landwehr standing across from him and they can make it, a little bit sloppy and make it a brawl, he's more than willing to oblige. So for him to show the patience and the different skill sets last night, it was very nice to see a big time improvement. I had a bit of a follow up here, but you kind of answered it. I was going to ask, were you as impressed by the growth of Superboy as I was, or do you think it was more just Nate Landwehr being a bit of a shit fighter?
Hey, it's a trick question, because Landwehr's good when he's capable, because it's the opposite almost for Landwehr too, where it's like both of them tend to kind of get into scraps that they probably shouldn't willingly go to. Like, there's a point in the second round where Landwehr's standing in the clinch with him and Doo-Ho Choi just flips him on his head, right? And it's it's an easy enough thing to get caught into. It's the problem was like when Doo-Ho Choi manages to keep him in a guard, and Nate Landwehr has no escape, no answer, and he's just caught. He's very limited on what he's capable to do, because Doo-Ho Choi shows us his ground game. I think it's a mix of Doo-Ho Choi surprised everybody, reminded us how good he was, and it's the other thing is that Landwehr isn't, I don't think, shop worn. I think he just got beat by a better guy. We all know how good Landwehr can be. It shows like tonight where it's like, okay, we know that he's not there, a top 10 guy. He's still probably a good, between 10 and 20, like maybe 15, top 15 guy.
Fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah, and like I said in the preview show for this event, Nate just he has a clear watermark. He's got like a level cap where he meets a certain guy of a certain caliber. He's not likely to get past them. And Doo-Ho Choi may not be a world beater, but he's put on Hall of Fame fights with legendary guys like Cub Swanson. So this is you can't sleep on Doo-Ho Choi. He's still only 33. Big days ahead of him, and he looked as fast and sharp as ever last night. So same thing to you, Danger Mouse. What did you think of the showing of both men here? And was this a Doo-Ho Choi evolution, or is Nate the Train really just a caboose?
That's a far too technical question for me to answer, I think. I didn't know much about this fight. We all know my casualness extends massively when it gets to the lower weight categories. So I was following the suggestion of a regular on YouTube who gives predictions, who I shall not name for the sake of Larry. And the theory was that Landwehr would probably get roughed up a bit in the first round, which he did. And then the theory was that he would come back in the second round and grit through it and have more dog in him. And we saw a little bit of that at the start of the second round. And then Choi just took over and just lit him up and got him to the ground and just dominated for the rest of the fight. I think we were joking in the main card minute chat that, well, I made the joke that this was going to be the first ever bloodiest fight of the night award on Just Bleed Radio. The centennial, I guess I should say. Is it a centennial? I'm looking for the right word there. Whatever, anyway. Yeah, the first one. So, yeah, a nice performance by Choi. Short of looking at the rankings, are these guys even ranked? Landwehr is what?
No, I don't believe either one of them is ranked.
Oh, okay.
Although, in the post-fight interview, Doo-Ho Choi did call for Bryce Mitchell for his next fight.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and Bryce did win, so that's a possibility.
Yeah, I could see that. That could be a fun fight, I guess.
Yeah. If he's able to take Bryce out, that would get him a ranking.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. Yeah. All right, yeah. I think that's as good of a time as any to move on to the next one. And, well, speaking of Mr. Bryce Mitchell, he's the next man on the marquee, because we stayed in the featherweight division for the next fight of the night to find out what happens when two fighters who straddle the line between madman and genius square off. Fresh from a vision quest somewhere in Southern California, Kron Gracie quickly scooted his way to the octagon for the bout, but not as quickly as the human embodiment of the state of Arkansas, father and scholar Bryce Mitchell, who sprinted to the cage to the 90s smash hit Cotton Eye Joe. No seatbelts necessary for Thug Nasty, however, but Kron Gracie could have maybe used an airbag as an errant choice to jump guard for the umpteenth time in the fight, led to a devastating slam and two follow-up elbows from hell. Or maybe heaven, I don't know. But I do know that Kron Gracie is better suited to BJJ than MMA. A very rare, very unexpected Bryce Mitchell KO 39 seconds into round number 3. Afterwards, Kron, who somehow looked more dazed and confused than he did coming in, was helped out of the octagon by teammates, including Nate Diaz. There's only one person that can make this podcast great again, and that's Jesus. But he's not here, so we'll go to you guys for your takes. Let's hear from you first, Danger Mouse. What did you take away from the results of this oddly matched pairing?
Yeah, I was kind of joking pre-show that this was my favourite fight of the night, and it might actually be. I will say I spent a lot of last night not listening to the broadcast and just listening to the guys chatting on Main Card Minute. So if I'm a bit vague on stuff, that might explain it. I normally get the chance to rewatch the entire card, but I made the mistake, as I've said, staying up all night and watching that card. But yeah, Bryce Mitchell fought his way through the first round. Second round, he was doing kind of more of the same. And then Kron did threaten the armbar towards the end of the round, but Bryce managed to shrug it off. And then they had as you said, the third round came out. They finally, stepped in, engaged. Kron immediately threw his legs around him like an enthusiastic lover, and Bryce Mitchell took him down like the bitch he is in that particular case, smashed his head into the canvas, and then just pulled away and laid into him with an elbow. The first one that hit him, if you watch I did manage to rewatch this several times. If you look in his eyes, Kron's eyes, he goes out for a moment, and the referee was bang on point on that stoppage, because his second elbow probably just knocked him unconscious again as he very, very briefly came round. So the referee saved him from a lot of punishment there. Well done, that ref. I forgot which one it was. As for what it does for the division, nothing really. Kron Gracie isn't ranked, shouldn't have been ranked, needs to be in the UFC's new grappling division whenever they get around to doing that. Bryce Mitchell, yeah, congratulations. Deserves respect for beating a top-level jiu-jitsu player, because he did go to the ground with him and mess about down there. But now and then he eventually got fed up and was like, nah, sod it. I don't care about your jiu-jitsu anymore. I'm just going to beat the shit out of you. And that's exactly what he did. Yeah, well done, Bryce. I did not listen to his post-fight speech, apart from I did catch him giving praise to the Gracies for all they did back from UFC 1. And all due respect there, yeah, congratulations. The Gracies did because they sport. My love of Hoist Gracie is much known, I guess. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, well done, Bryce. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say that you probably didn't get my little introduction there because that was part of his post-fight speech. There, he ended his win with the only person that can make America great again is Jesus. So.
There's only one person that's going to make America great again. That's Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you kind of led me perfectly right into I had a follow-up for you, and I was going to ask you, why do you think Crone is even really in the UFC? Even a count of casuals like you can see, like, something ain't adding up here. So is it legit just the little bit of value that's left in his last name that has kept him in the UFC?
Yeah. Like you said, I already said it. I didn't know if it was going to be a question, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you because I really can't see how he fits into this picture at all. Makes no sense to me. Okay, so no special. What did you gather up from watching this fight?
Do you ever feel like a disappointed parent?
No.
You just kind of watching the kid go out there and you're like, we practice this. Okay. All you got to do is just not do this thing. And, don't get in your head. Don't overthink things. Just go out there, have fun, stick to the game plan, right? The minute the cage closed, all that went out the window. For some reason, my belief was that Kron would have the ability to kind of look at his past performance, and my belief was there was a specific reason he was trying to say what you asked me to do with jiu-jitsu is not going to work, and I'm going to prove to you why it doesn't. Sure enough, he kind of did that, and I honestly can't understand why. The guard game just if you're gonna jump guard, you need to strike from the bottom and you need to keep throwing attacks up. He tried, and for some reason, he kept doing the guard jump. And for the life of me, I'm looking at this fight, and you can hear it on the broadcast too. Like, what is he doing?
Oh, not again. Every time.
Like, yeah, what are we doing here? Like, you're just throwing your hat at the screen and wondering, like, come on, what are you doing, man? I would have even been upset if he was doing the Nate Landwehr thing and just kind of throwing hands, like a goddamn idiot. But like, he wasn't even doing that. He was literally getting pieced up on the feet and then pulling guard and then losing the ground game, the thing he's supposed to be better at. Bryce is a great wrestler. Bryce is very good at the top game when it comes to grappling. He's also got decent ability to just keep the fight standing when he wants to. He has no issue keeping the fight standing. Does he want to? No. He's the guy who's going to look for the best way to win. And his bread and butter is to kind of put you on your back and then take you down. And he did willingly just kind of go to the ground with him. And the crazy part is, like, you're looking at Kron just looking so defeated in the corner, and you're kind of like, what are you doing, man? Now, I didn't listen to the commentary all the time, but like, it just looked like Nate didn't understand the issue that we were having with this, and Kron just kind of was like out to lunch. Like, maybe he smoked too much weed before maybe he smoked too much weed before the fight with them. I don't know. Maybe he was kind of taking too many edibles and forgot that gravity exists and shit like that. I don't know. Because the minute he pulled guard in that third round, I already knew, oh, Bryce is going to do something right now, and he's going to do it. Sure enough, immediately meets him on the mat, similar to what another fight happened at lightweight where a gentleman was pulling guard and he just kind of walked him to the center and then just landed him on his back. The issue is that yes, thank you. I don't remember the name of the guy who did it. Yeah. He just finished the fight. He said, "No, okay, you're going to give me the fight. All right." Boom. Just two devastating elbows after that, and the fight was done. And it's just like Kron being escorted out of the cage and Team Diaz just like looking defeated. It's like, yeah, you guys probably spent more time just, being dipshits and throwing water bottles at Team Makachev and, Newmartin Omega Medov, not actually fucking preparing for the fight. And if you did, what did you do to prepare for the fight? Well, because I didn't see a game plan. Nothing. The game plan was one submission. One submission. Like, come on. What are we doing here?
Yeah. God. The corner work was absolutely atrocious throughout the night for Kron. They were actually recommending him pull guard and throw elbows from the bottom. That was their advice to him. So
God damn it!
It is what it is there. But I'm gonna pose the same. Go ahead, Danger Mouse.
I was just going to say, I saw that Josh Emmett was in the crowd, so he obviously gave Bryce's soul back.
Yeah, real quick though, Austin. Just a quick response. Let me pose the same question to you that I posed to Danger Mouse. What's the real reason that Gracie even has a job in the UFC? Because I mean, realistically, I see more talented guys with better records every other week on LFA or whatever random promotion. So why is he even in here?
What is the time frame between his last fight and this fight? If
several years,
like close to 4, maybe.
A long time. Well, that's all I know.
He took a sabbatical and comes back, and is probably getting paid the same. Someone gave him a very good and lucrative contract. That's my only reason. And they couldn't just let him go for what they were doing. Because you hear Gracie, oh, people are going to watch, right? You forget it's Kron, and you're like, oh shit, never mind.
I don't even know if that counts anymore. Does the Gracie name draw anymore? I don't know if it does.
It means enough to have him put him on the main card.
Yeah,
over a much better featherweight fight.
Yeah, that might respect, be more down to Dana's views on the Gracies than anything else.
Either that, or like you said, Austin, it may be a contractual thing where he's getting paid main card money, so they're going to put him on the main card.
That'd be my only thinking on it, because like you give the guy, Gracies are usually going to ask for every inch that you give them, and then more. I mean, that's how they've had much of their matchmaking done over the years. So
yeah,
it'd be surprising if they were the same about the contracts.
Yeah, he last lost to Charles Jourdain in 2023, May 6th. And then before that, Cub Swanson in 2019.
Okay, so that was the gap.
Yeah. So
okay. Well,
okay.
Yeah, I don't want to waste much more time on this, so we'll just move it along and say that, Kron Gracie and his fighting style and his record being in the UFC are more suited to 2005 than right now. So fucking get the fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe more like 1995 shit.
Yeah.
You fucking
I did make the joke pre-show that we were going back to UFC 1 there with his fighting style.
Fucking absurd. All right, let's move it along. Next up, it was time for the heavyweight rematch between France and Russia. Bone Gamin, Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov 2. A fight that bored everyone to tears the first time, with the majority nod going Gane's way. Jump to present and Saturday night, and I found myself asking if we would see similar results to the last go-round, or would Volkov manage to even the score at one apiece? Well, in a fight that was at least doubly fun as the first through two, with both men showing more aggression, the Frenchman walked, or at least hobbled away, with an undeserved split decision victory. Yes, after seemingly injuring a couple of his tootsies, a downtrodden Gane bolted from the cage after the cards were rendered. Moments later, he would be escorted back into the octagon to speak with Joe Rogan, where he would outright say he didn't feel he'd won the fight. A sentiment he repeated at the post-fight press conference. As for the fight itself, some surprising grappling skills shown by Cyril, although not enough in my opinion to take the win. A much more enjoyable match, however, than their original meeting, including a highlight reel spinning back fist from Volkov. Now, unfortunately, though, once again, the judges insert themselves into a result they have no business in. Broken toes for one guy and a broken heart for the other. Interested to hear your thoughts on this one, fellas. Austin, give us your observations from this heavyweight rematch.
Well, you know that feeling where you're, watching your kids do things and you're kind of disappointed? Like, except it wasn't the fighters, it was the judges. Like, there's a point when you're watching the fight and you're like, all right, Gane is doing the thing that he usually does. He's like lackadaisical with the striking. And then all of a sudden you see him, get taken down, get hit, answer back. The same thing I remember watching, and to oppose the point that you put earlier, like where you thought the original fight was boring, their first meeting, I thought that was a fun fight for me. But neither here nor there. The second meeting was more competitive because they only stood on the feet at range, and it was a kickboxing match. This was an MMA fight. They hurt each other in the second, and they grappled a lot in this fight, and it was great because it was competitive. This is what you want. You want Gon to actually show up and fight. Fight good guys, fight often, and he doesn't. Volkov was coming off of a win streak and finishing two of his last four, and it's like he was capable and he was doing the right stuff. I mean, he got hurt in the second and managed to control the third. It was just if you're going to argue about if Gon won, the only reason why you would give him the second is because he hurt Volkov in the last 30 seconds of the round, and yet he didn't really get to capitalize on it. Matter of fact, he did the opposite. Let's fucking go for an arm fucking an arm bar or Kimura. Thank you. I was struggling with words there for a second. For fucking 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What were you doing, man? And it sucks because Volkov was if he had won, he's next in line for whatever, granted this heavyweight division is fucking in limbo, but still, this might not be a bad thing for him. Blessing in disguise. Who knows? But Gon's not next. Volkov may it's not. It doesn't. This fight would have been better had the heavyweight division not been in limbo for over a year and a half. But there's a guy that's available and there's a guy who has a win, and they didn't really have a fixing of the heavyweight division with this fight. Matter of fact, it muddied the waters a little bit more. But,
yeah.
You can't really. It is what it is.
Well, let me hit you up with a quick follow up here. Just a short response from you. Immediately after the fight, as Volkov was exiting the cage, Dana was on camera approaching him and saying, "You got fucked. I don't know what we'll do, but we'll make it up to you. Somehow we'll do something to make it up to you." Now, what if anything does Dana's acknowledgement of the bad decision do for Volkov? And then how bad is this? Because the guy should be on a 5-fight win streak.
It's interesting because this isn't the first time they've given a guy a title shot off of a loss. Would it be the first time? But maybe if you can't guarantee him a fight, give him a good payday for his efforts as a backup or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. That'd be the only other thing I can offer because we're in a position where the division still has a fight to make. You can't take that fight away because that fight needs to happen. Ideally, if it does. If it doesn't, oh well, we figure it out later. But this is a situation where you keep that guy on your alerts. The opportunity comes, they'll probably reward him. I doubt they'll give anything to Gon since Gon says, I thought I lost, but most of us did.
Yeah. I can't see Gon's stock rising at all off of this. Can't see that happening. All right, Danger Mouse. This one looked like it could have meant something for your guy Tommy Aspinall in the future, but that kind of goes out the window with Gon getting a bit of a robbery win here. So I don't think that either man is really in the title picture now. Although I could see them, maybe making Volkov a promise down the line or something. But so I suppose I just give us your thoughts in general on part 2 of this matchup.
Yeah. Well, first thing I got to say, in round 1, there's a blatant fence grab by Gan, which should have had either a point deducted for or position should have been awarded for it. And then the only thing I can think that gave Gan the end of, gave Gan round 1 is that late Gilly attempt. But no, I don't really think Gan won that round at all. And then the second round, which is the controversial one as far as I remember. I might be been mixed up there. I might have given the first round to Gan. But yeah, second round is the key round anyway. That's the one where only Eric Colon proved not to be an ass. Unlike Adelaide Bird and Junichiro Kamijo, who both scored that round for Gan, and that was just horrible. This is an absolute robbery. They've butchered Volkov's career. And they're taking a huge chunk out of it. Now, admittedly, he did look like a giant Paddy Pimblett for most of the fight.
The cornrows.
Yeah, sorry. I saw what Dave did to my girl Dakota last week. You bastard. So yeah, so as you say, no, we didn't really learn very much from this, apart from that Gan is more overrated than I thought beforehand. I did pick Gan for this fight, and I really wish I'd lost that pick. He didn't deserve it. Volkov did. There is arguments being made that this is a sacrifice to make Gan look good, so that when it goes back to John, he can go, look, the guy that I beat so easily is still challenging for heavyweight champion, and he doesn't deserve to be. And I think Tom Aspinall would walk through him, judged by that level of performance. He'd either knock him out or take him down and submit him in very, very little time. So it's another lamb to the slaughter when he finally gets put into the cage against Tom.
I hadn't really thought of that angle, that them giving the nod to Cyril, kind of in a very broad way, maybe in Dana's eyes, kind of solidifies John more as the true heavyweight champion or something, because that's the guy he beat, and he just beat Volkov, who was on a 4-fight win streak. Get the fuck out of here! Like, that's total bullshit. Like, that does nothing for you. But I wanted to also ask you the same thing that I kind of asked Austin, but in a different way. If you were Dana in this situation, what are you saying to Volkov after this loss?
Oh, God. To Volkov, sorry.
Yeah. What are you saying to this guy that just got fucked over, and now you're somehow left holding the bag a little bit?
Yeah, it's either got to be another payday, a very big payday, I would say, a contractual one, or my argument will be overturn it, because only 4 people in the world think this was the right decision. Adelaide Braid, Kunichiro, and Danny Seguro. That's it. It should be overturned, but I doubt it will be, sadly. So yeah, give the guy a big payday and don't fuck around with his rankings. Give him a high up. I'm just having a quick look at the rankings now.
Yeah, he should hold steady.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Looking at it, there's only Gan and Aspinall above him at the moment, so he's beat Pavlovich. Yeah, I guess it might have to be played, but give him a nice chunk of money for doing it.
Yeah, I feel that's fair. I mean, at very least, the guy deserves, a nice payday and some kind of fucking, I don't know, give him a fucking car or something. Buy the guy a new car. Give him something.
Yeah. Something from the back room. Yeah, and make
do a rematch.
A third one?
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to do anyways?
God,
justify
I don't know if I want to see it. I don't know if I want to see that a third time.
Yeah.
No, in this one you can almost consider a no contest at this point.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I guess that'd be an option. See, that'll give Jilton Almeida to Cyril Gant to handle.
That's fair.
Yeah, that'd be one of these two.
All right. Well, we got to keep things going for the sake of time, but my. Speaking of time, you all know what time it is now. A co-main event on the program guide, but for many, the main event of their night. Thanks to some last-minute shuffling due to injury, a handful of fighters declining to step in on short notice, and the UFC desperately needing to fill out the card, we were presented with a very rare treat. 2 undefeated fighters going toe-to-toe, and someone's O was destined to go. Top-tier talents and growing stars had it out in the welterweight division. The ever-worldly Irishman, Ian Garry,
versus the Kazakh Colossus, Shavkat Rakhmonov.
We were split on our show picks, but most of the fandom seemed to be riding with the horse meat connoisseur Rakhmonov. You never know what you got until they step into the cage, though, and this one provided a far closer contest than most had anticipated. When the dust settled, however, it would be Rakhmonov with his hand raised, but not without potentially losing some of his aura in the process. Garry becomes the first man to take Shavkat to decision, and realistically was the closest of the two to finishing the fight at any given time. So if you go by Diaz rules, Garry might have actually won this fight. I'm joking, but nevertheless, an elite level chess match that, in my opinion, did not disappoint. Lots to say on this one, so let's hear from you two. Danger Mouse, Nostradamus, you and Austin both predicted this victory, but I don't know that many had forecasted Garry taking Rakhmonov to the limits. What did you find yourself thinking after watching this matchup of previously undefeated contenders?
Yeah, this was, I believe I said myself, that this was the fans' fight of the night, the fans' main event, and it was kind of disappointing. It was closer than I expected it to be, but I did say back on the preview show that if Garry made it to a points decision, that you could consider that he'd won the fight, and he kind of did. Shavkat, yeah, again, you can't deny that he wasn't trying, because at some point he was trying to grate Garry through the cage, judging by the state of his shorts. So yeah, the fight did go as I sort of predicted it would, with Shavkat eventually shoving Garry back to the cage and grinding things up, trying to get a takedown. But Garry produced a fantastic defense and didn't really allow himself to get taken down that way. And I think it was when Shavkat actually did a couple of blast doubles finally in the middle of the cage, and that's when he started to get takedowns. It was, I wrote some notes down. I can say it was a high stakes, hard sparring match, because that's the way they went at each other. Not inspiring, but these guys had hours and hours of sparring. And Shavkat, if you look back in the pre-show stuff, Shavkat made the point about this fight that he'd take any win, submission, knockout, or a points win. So I think that was a nod that he knew this one was going to be damn hard. So did you have a specific question, Lazy? I wandered there a bit, perhaps.
You kind of, you sort of answered it there. I just wanted to mainly know what you thought about the fight, but I do have a slight follow-up. Do you think that Garry losing to Rakhmonov is really the best possible person that you could take your first L from? Like, the guy's thought of as the boogeyman of the division. He's the big-time killer. Who better to lose your first fight to, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's done Gary's reputation no real harm at all. He's lost the O, which obviously means if he fights against another zero fighter, I won't pick him. But yeah, he's done his. He took the fight on short notice. He was supposed to be fighting Buckley, I believe. Jumped away from that, stepped in against the boogeyman of the division, and fought him to a points decision. It's done his stock no harm at all. It's made him a bit more likable. I think the fans appreciate the fact that he did take the risk. So yeah, he's gone up a little bit in my estimation. Plus, I did see a interview with him where he was singing Tom Aspinall's praises and saying that was going to be a damn hard fight for John if he decided to take it, and that he should avoid it. So yeah, he went up a bit in stock in that case. So yeah, didn't do Garry any harm at all, realistically.
Yeah, and I mean, really, like he had a better showing and a better fight against Shavkat than he had against MVP. So
yeah, I think I made that joke that when he got into the rear naked choke, he didn't manage it against MVP, so I wasn't super scared against Shavkat, and he didn't. Yeah. Kind of a point there. But yeah.
All right. Well, we'll kick it over to you.
Just one last one. This is MMA. It's not boxing. One loss does not mean the end of your career.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, bright future ahead of him. Yeah, so we'll kick it over to Special. First thing, the fight itself. 5 rounds of elite level human chess. What were your big takeaways and thoughts on the bout?
It's interesting because Mouse is right. Like if you're gonna lose to somebody, losing to another good fighter never hurts, especially when it's a competitive fight, right? We don't get too many undefeated fighters fighting other undefeated fighters, and if you're gonna lose to someone, losing to somebody who's next in line for the title, that's not bad. That's not a bad loss. especially since Ian Garry nearly could have solidified himself as next in line with the submission in the 5th. Almost poetic, right?
Oh yeah.
All the shit that he's taken over the years. Mrs. Machado Gary as well. But neither here nor there. He looked good. Matter of fact, this might have actually been a thing that boosts his popularity as a guy who's actually about it. For
Yeah.
years, like for his entirety of his career, he's kind of inside the UFC. Gary's been that dude that's like kind of gets punked, gets laughed at, gets mocked. For some of it, many reasons of his own, and others, people like to blow up, his life and whatnot. Neither here nor there on that one, but realistically, he showed up. And that was the one thing you kind of wanted. These two guys fought each other, and they fought for hours inside
Yeah.
of a practice room, right? Like Mal said, this was a careful, calculated fight. Both of these men knew each other's strengths and weaknesses. Hell, if you spend a couple of years with a guy, that's your partner every time you go out, and you guys kind of get chippy every so often. You kind of know what pisses them off and what gets them open to counters and stuff like that. And realistically, this was a great fight. I mean, it might not have been the most action packed, but for what it was, this is the kind of fight that you want for a number one contender fight. It was great. Can't complain.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that really, like, in a weird way, Shavkat got the W, but he kind of came out the loser in this one because all the talk coming in was that he was going to destroy Ian Garry. I mean, that's what most of the casual fans, at least, and the majority of the fan base thought, that he was going to continue his finishing streak and he was going to walk through Garry and make a real example of him. And that definitely turned out to not be the case. Time in the training room, of course, played a part in that because they did both know each other's games, but yeah, I thought it was actually a pretty good fight. I mean, Garry got rocked a few times. He got his head snapped back. I mentioned it somewhere. It was either Discord or Main Card Minute. My biggest takeaway was the fucking size of Rakhmonov's head. That guy has a fucking huge melon. Like, Ian Garry's got a big ass head, and Rakhmonov's head was dwarfing the head of Ian Garry. So he could certainly take a shot himself, and a couple of those nice high roundhouse kicks slapped upside his dome, and he ate them. And I just think that he lost a bit of that invincibility that he had coming in as sort of being the juggernaut that was going to bulldoze his way through the division. So stock up some for Ian Garry and stock slightly down for Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, you're at the top now. It doesn't get easier. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and either way, they're both just fodder for the champ because it's bully season, baby.
Maybe we'll see. It's going to be a good fight regardless.
We'll save that, though. We'll save that for another date and time. Let's move it to the main event, fellas. And a main course treat it was. Yes, the promotional debut of Japanese superstar Kai Asakura as he took on an extremely stiff challenger for his first test in the UFC, slotting right into a flyweight title shot versus reigning champion Alexandre Pantoja. Asakura, who hadn't made 125 in nearly a decade, had many wondering just how he would look come Saturday night, but he quickly alleviated worrying minds as he made the walk. Both men looked fit and ready to go during the introductions, and Pants seemingly fought the entirety of the fight with a chip on his shoulder, maybe feeling a bit slighted by the fan base and the UFC. Now, the action was fast and furious, with Kai getting the worst of the exchanges, eventually leading to an extremely slick back take by the Brazilian Pantoja, where he would eventually lock in the RNC and strangle Asakura unconscious at 2:09 of round number 2. Plenty to comment on here, so we'll get right to you guys for some thoughts. A flyweight affair for the record books here. As I said on the preview show, this submission tied Pants with Figgy and DJ for the most 125-pound finishes in UFC history. He's also being awarded one of the 4 performance bonuses for the night. We'll go to you, Austin. What did you think of our main event bout here?
Rudy. We fucking did it. We fucking did it. Now, most of us on the Discord agree that Pants was probably going to win, right? And I mean, hell, like, a dude who came from where he did, an unassuming, really good Brazilian, smaller fighter. I mean, if you look at his resume, dude has fought everybody multiple times. The shitty part is that nobody who's a casual cares as much for guys like Pantoja because it's a smaller division. Why do I give a shit? Right? No, this is the reason why you watch this dude. This dude showed us how good he actually was, and he went toe to toe with Asakura, which was kind of surprising because I was like, okay, well, do the smart thing, take your time, look for entries, take him down, keep position, don't risk the submission if you don't have the position. But no, he said, fuck that, I'm going to teach this kid who this fucking champion is, and he went out there and fucking put on a show. He said, nah, hold my beer, son. Just went after him. Yeah, I mean, I was more impressed with that because he said, I don't give a shit if he's bigger than me. I don't give a shit if he's younger than me. I'm going to kick his ass. And he did. He went out there and fought. He fought a good fight. Lin Kai was not a slouch. He came after him, too. And this is the kind of thing where this fight injects life into this division. You got a new contender in Kai Asakura. You got a guy who's popular where he's from. And this does nothing but help the champion. He's an exciting fighter who came in and got finished by a really good champion. And you kind of hope that this does more for Alex Pants in the future. And people should be paying attention to what he's doing at flyweight right now. Because it's not easy to do. What have we learned? It is hard to defend a title, especially when you got really hungry killers coming after you. And then they're all really good. you know? But no, credit, my hat's off to Alex Pants, shout out to Connor Brooks, who's called him Rudy. He wasn't supposed to be here, but he is despite it. And, goddamn if he isn't a good fighter and a good champion, hats off to Alex Pants.
Yeah. I mean, Pants really is. He's a guy, and credit to Larry for saying this last night. Like, he's a guy that's just kind of habitually disrespected and underrated. And I don't know if that's a byproduct of him being a flyweight and the flyweights just typically not getting much respect or what it is, but the guy's a fucking animal, and you can't deny the record. You can't deny the names on the resume and everything he's done. So I do want to give you one more thing though, Austin. What's next for Pantoja? Like, what do we do with this guy? Because the only one really left in the division is Kai Kara-France. So was the Mighty Mouse call out the right move? Was that a fucking void move? Was it stupid? What do we do?
No, it's the right thing to do because of it's one of those weird ones where it's like, unless you want another rematch with Royval or Brandon Moreno, who both are coming off wins, and he's 5-0 against them. It's like you're gonna call out Kai, but Kai just barely, Kai had a really good, impressive win over Steve Erceg. Kind of an upset, honestly. And I would say he needs one more. Honestly, you can throw him in there if you wanted to with Alex Pants, but he might need another fight just to be able to say he's next. But if you're Pantoja, yeah, go ahead and call out Demetrius Johnson because you want the ability to say Demetrius is honestly a guy a lot of people would favor for Alex Pants.
Alex Pantoja, call out your boy Mighty, the one, me. My black ass ain't coming back. You know what the beautiful thing about my position I'm in is I've been offered $2 million to come and do one fight. And what do you guys think I said? I said no. I said absolutely no. And it wasn't with, the UFC. It wasn't against Alex Pantoja. It was, I'm not going to tell you who it was with, but.
Shit, it's on weird one. Value alone.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. You're going to bring the most valuable flyweight in, and it's not like Cejudo's going to make a comeback anytime soon, or Davison Figueiredo at flyweight. The call out is there. It's more of like, hey, look at me. I'm doing the thing that I'm the second best flyweight here, in history. Yeah. And he's not wrong.
Yeah, it's really a kind of a tough situation because, like I said, there's really nobody left for him. So he's he's got to call out somebody. Who's he going to call out? So, all right, we'll pose the same thing to you, Danger Mouse. Give us your thoughts on the main event, and then when you're through, tell us your opinion on the call out of Demetrius Johnson in the post-fight speech.
Okay, first off, I'm going to attract some hate here right now because it's time to stick on the hockey mask, pull out the chainsaw, and I did say last week in the preview show that I was hedging towards Kai Asakura to win this fight. And I looked at it all week, and then on Saturday night, or maybe even before then, I said, nah, fuck that. The survival league is up for stake at the moment between me and Corona season. So I switched my pick to Alexander Pantoja for this one. So fuck you all.
Fucking hedge fund.
I just get that confession out of the way. No one said legally binding last week anyway, so fuck you all.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, I actually was. I think this came on at like 5 o'clock in the morning or something for me. So I actually decided to change rooms and go upstairs to bed and watch it on a laptop up there. And by the time pretty much I got settled up there, it was pretty much all over. Pantoja had sunk in the rear naked choke. Nice job. I did rewatch it today. Yeah, classic job by Pantoja. Can't fault it. Took Kai Asakura apart with no struggle at all, really. As for what's next, well, I'd like to congratulate that on the 7th of December 2024, Pantoja officially sealed the death of the 125 division in the UFC because he's already buried everyone else. So Asakura winning would have been much better for the UFC. I don't think anyone would dispute that.
Yeah.
Boo. Boo.
At least for the UFC. I mean, maybe not for a fan base, but at least for the UFC, I think you got to agree with that.
Did I miss anything there, Lazy?
No. That's basically it. I just my thing in this one is what's going to happen with Kai Asakura, because you come in and you debut in a title fight. It's kind of hard to go backwards, so he's got to stay right up there at the top of the division. I don't know if he sticks around at 125 or if he moves back up to 135 like he was in Ryzen.
Yeah,
he's in a bit of a weird spot.
Yeah, 135 might be a much better option for him.
Nah, you got the title fight here, and you can make him fight Steve Erceg. If he beats Steve Erceg, great, he's back in contention. If he loses, then he has an excuse to go up to 135. You're in the division. You just came off of a title fight.
Yeah,
you didn't look like shit. You just got caught. You know, you got beat up. You know, it's the champion. He's good. What do you want to do? You know,
how many fights does Erceg need to take to get another shot at the belt, though?
3.
Well, he's got to win some of them first.
That's close.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he just got knocked out. You know.
Yeah, I've probably
again.
Yeah.
All right,
the division's a mess, but there's things you can't.
Okay.
Yeah. 125 is in desperate need of a lot of things, but Pantoja's a good champion. You can't take nothing away from him. It's just 125 is a mess. But we got to move it along because we're running short on time here, so I'm going to have to rattle the rest of this off pretty quick. Let's get into the remainder of the events of the night, because not to be overshadowed by the actual fights, we had some pretty massive fight announcements Saturday night as well. 2 bouts added to the forthcoming UFC 312 card. Your main event from Sydney, Australia, the rematch for the middleweight championship, Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis 2, and the co-main event, the long-awaited return of strawweight champions Zhang Weili as she takes on the enigma of injury, the undefeated Tatiana Suarez. A bit peculiar, as Tatiana was slated to compete on Saturday night at 310 against Virna Jandiroba, but was pulled from the fight for health reasons, and now somehow finds herself in a title match for her very next bout. That's kind of weird. So yeah, any takeaways on those announced fights, guys?
Let's fucking go, Sean. They must be paying him a lot of money for him to travel to Australia for this.
Go DDP. Go DDP.
I think we might very well see a repeat of the same fight with that one. Sean needs to add a new
I think so too.
Yeah.
The thing that confuses me.
Go ahead.
The Tatiana, I was going to say the Tatiana Suarez one is interesting because it's like, we know we know she's prone to injury. I think this is the UFC hedging their bet on the division. We saved Jandiroba. We basically, I don't know if they do the thing where they pay her to kind of take a side like they do in boxing. Hey, we have this fight that we want to do first. We don't know what the outcome is going to be, so we would rather pay you to step aside and bring in her because she's the wild card. You said it yourself. She was slated to fight Jandiroba. Tatiana Suarez is pretty much injury prone, like all the time.
Yeah.
So they're basically like, all right, well, we're going to give her the opportunity now. Regardless of what happens, it's her. And if she gets injured, then we have Jandiroba regardless. I think that's going to be the play that they're going to look forward to, which you can't even argue about it,
Yeah. It'll be interesting to at the very least see if she makes the fight, and also if they put Virna as the backup fighter, considering she was slated to fight Tatiana and they fucked her over. So, yeah, they're gonna have to do something to make it right to old Rob Schneider there. But also announced earlier in the week, we had your final two fights for UFC 311. The main event, another rematch, this time for the lightweight title. Champion Islam Makhachev looks to defend his gold against challenger Arman Tsarukyan. And in the co-main event, the one fans were clamoring for, undefeated Umar Nurmagomedov gets his shot at the crown as he battles with current champ Merab Dvalishvili. Are you guys stoked for these two fights?
I don't know if so. Right. We need to.
That sounds like no.
We need to see. I don't think they're going to see much difference between. I think Islam will keep holding on to his belt, and sorry, what did you say the other one was? My memory has gone blank.
Merab and Umar for the bantamweight.
Oh yeah. I think we might see the extension of the Nurmagomedov clan in UFC fight history. That one should be a fun one, I guess. Or maybe not a fun one, but it'll be interesting to see who wins it. Probably a very technical bout, I would imagine.
Yeah,
Austin, you got anything?
It's got it. Those are the two fights, man. Those are the two fights. Merab got the hint, after ducking Umar for like the longest time, and then on top of it too, you finally get the best lightweights out there fighting. That's what we want. You want to see the guys who are best fighting the best because they are the best. We want to see who the best is. Come on. This is why we watch this fucking sport. And thankfully, we got it. And I'm just excited that we get to have both of the fights on. And I'll be siding with both the Nurmagomedov and Islam Makhachevs of the world. Let's go.
Well, I gotta boo that because I want the machine to fucking pull it out and maintain his fucking title reign, but that's just me. I'm a Longo guy, so it is what it is there. But I think that the most interesting thing out of this 4-pack of fight announcements is Khamzat Chimaev, man. Like, everybody wanted to see him get in there and take on Drikas, and we were all looking forward to that after what transpired in the Khamzat and Whitaker fight. So them shelving Khamzat for the time being is kind of interesting, but I don't know. We'll see.
They're waiting for Trump to allow him back into the USA.
If that's a thing that they can do.
Yeah, I've been hearing that a lot lately, though. That's a recurring thought.
Yeah, I'm only joking, but maybe it's.
All right. We got to get to the rest of the card here, and I'm going to go through these super fast. So if you guys just got something short to say on each one, or nothing at all, feel free to say nothing. Let's get to it because that was the main card all squared away. So let's get into the prelims. Heavyweights kicked off the evening as Kennedy and Nzechukwu made a fast return to take on Lucas Bresky. Kennedy, competing in just his second UFC heavyweight fight, stepped in to replace Bresky's original opponent, Taliesin Teixeira. Didn't take long for the short notice fill-in to make his impact felt as he walloped Bresky with a big right hand towards the end of round one for a nice KO. And Nzechukwu victorious and also $50,000 richer with a performance bonus. Fortis MMA on the come up.
No, it is. This is a good thing for a guy who was struggling as a light heavyweight and said, "Fuck it, I'll just go up to heavyweight," and he's looking good so far. Good for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Lucas Bresky, he should be cut. This guy can't fucking win. Okay. Next up, we had a classic MMA contest of a grizzled old man versus a fresh-faced up-and-comer. 60-fight veteran Clay Guida tangled with 18-fight youngster Chase Hooper. Guida, who came in with a 500 record of 18-18 in the UFC, had lost his last two. This is his sixth two-fight skid in the UFC, and he really needed a win. Hooper, who feels like he's been around for a million years but is still only 25, is 6-3 in the UFC and was on a 3-fight win streak. Make that four-fight win streak now because Chase would pull out the W. These two actually faced each other in a CFFC grappling match back in 2022, where Hooper won via calf slicer, and that submission result would foreshadow this one. Hooper, with some absolutely beautiful flowing and transitioning, snatched up the Geico caveman's arm and took it home. He too finds himself taking home a $50,000 bonus.
Nice job, Chase.
Looked like a real complete fighter out there. Flowed naturally, great on the feet. Clay needs to retire. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, and that's not going to be the last time I say that tonight, which is going to suck.
All right, well, speaking of that, we're on to the next one because a couple more old heads in a men's 170-pound weight class. Michael the Maverick Chiesa, fresh off of finishing Tony Ferguson's dead body, returned to the octagon on top of the world to take on a career journeyman with a nickname as old as he is, the 39-year-old Max Payne Griffin. Despite looking like a mildly handicapped person punching through jello, Chiesa worked his way to a third-round finish via his classic rear naked choke. This one being a special one, as it tied him with my Uncle Ken Flo and one behind Damian Maia.
Disappointment. that's my response on that. It's a disappointment. Not because I don't like Chiesa. It's just like Max just doesn't. It's weird. Max will have good performances where he just looks like a great fighter, and then just looks like he doesn't know. I have to stop the one thing. And then if I don't, I lose the fight. And he lets it get away from him. And it's not like Chiesa, who fucking said at the end of the fight, I'm going to have another run in me. No, you're not. No, you're not.
God, fucking Chiesa. Okay, well, we followed that with a flyweight scrap, one of my favorite fights of the night that had a lot of people eager to see it go down, and boy, did it go down. Custom-made Cody Durden looked to keep himself on the winning track against 23-year-old fearless Joshua Van. Both men making a nice turnaround after each having last fought in September. On this night, however, it would be the fearless one, Joshua Van, that was tailored for victory, putting on a virtuoso performance in rounds 2 and 3, even netting himself a 30-26 scorecard. Along with the W, Van would also set the record for the second most strikes in a flyweight fight in UFC history.
Josh Van, little Frankie Edgar of flyweight. I love it. he's a good fighter. I love him.
Yeah. This was the fight when it started off. I hadn't really taken much notice of who I'd picked, so I was cheering Cody Durden on for most of the first round, and then I went and checked my picks, and I was like, "Oh shit, no, I picked Van, so I better start cheering him on." And miraculously, he came back and won the fight. Yeah, nice little performance, fun little fight.
All right, let's move it on. How about a nice, sloppy, rescheduled catchweight bout next up? Well, that's what we got, as a pairing of Chris Weidman and Eric Anders found themselves once again rebooked after your boy fell out at MSG. Who wins in a fight between a one-legged man and a recovering drug addict? Apparently the ex-junkie, because this one would see Anders outright splatter Weidman onto the canvas in the second. Thoughts, guys?
Yeah, why did I pick Weidman? That's my main thought.
I know. He dropped him. He dropped him in the first, and you know it was competitive for a good second, and then Chris just shat the bed. He complained about the stoppage, and sure enough, it's like, if you're complaining about the stoppage, dude, you were in a bad position, and he was. And I'm disappointed that he didn't put his gloves down. Like, what are we doing here, dude?
I do think the ref could have given him the end of the round there, though, 9 seconds away or whatever it was.
He was literally eating punches. He's not defending himself.
I think you could have given him the 9 seconds.
Probably, but it wouldn't have been any better.
If you wanted to stop it then, you could have stopped it 20 seconds earlier than that.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how close the clock is to the end. What matters is if you're not defending yourself.
Yeah,
that
but
is a stoppage.
It kind of should.
It
Well, either
should,
way,
but you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
Weidman looked fucking terrible. Like he looked good in the first on the feet, but once he got on the bottom there, he looked completely lost underneath Eric Anders, and that's not the Chris Weidman any of us know or love. So, yeah, I also agree.
No.
I wish he would have hung up the gloves. Like he should have called it a career. Like I don't want to see you back in there.
Yep, agreed.
All right. I mean, it's probably time to move it on to the next fight. You know what I'm saying? A couple of guys back in the welterweight division. You know what I'm saying? With a real chance at making a run. 170 is a pretty fun division. You know what I'm saying? When you make weight, Pooh Bear. All right. Enough of that. Big one here. Easy Apex fight night headliner, rather. Brian the Butcher Battle versus Randy Rude Boy Brown. A fun ass fight, really, that went back and forth in waves. Some really sick combos from Brown, nasty knees from Battle. Definitely a fight that, despite being a decision, it might be worth your time to go back and watch if you missed it. So, what do you guys think about this one?
Yeah, as you said, a nice back and forth battle, with no pun intended. Although it's hard not to do one in this kind of fight. Yeah, no strong feeling on it. I think that Brian Battle did enough to win it. So yeah. Sorry.
Nah, thought he lost. Definitely not a fan. Definitely not a fan if you miss weight. That's 3 strikes, you're out.
Oh yeah, there's that, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of bullshit. This is, not the first time he's done this, and he wasn't exactly apologetic for it. So, I'm a Brian Battle fan, but after that, I'm kind of on the fence now. Yeah, okay. That's enough on you guys. Next fight up, the fight that a lot of folks thought should have been on the main card but wound up on the prelims, number 9 versus number 5 in the featherweight division, the rebooking of Aljamain Sterling versus Movsar Evloev. Rumors abounded that these two found themselves relocated to the early portion of the night due to their, quote, boring fighting styles. I don't know if I'd call this one boring at any rate, but it certainly was what we expected, a grappler's delight. Movsar wrestled and ground his way to a grueling decision victory. So, what'd you guys think?
Yeah, grappler's delight. I don't have enough sophistication to understand most of the stuff they were doing, but they were clearly, rolling around, changing positions. I think Aljo claimed the last round. Evloev was able to do enough in between the grappling and his striking. I think he got quite a few more significant strikes than Aljo did in the fight. Yeah. I'll just pass it straight over to Austin if he wants to comment. He knows a fuck ton more than I do about wrestling.
Yeah, it felt like I was watching a high level wrestling match, and that's not even. I know it's not for everybody, and that's fine. But like, I appreciated the commitment that Aljo had, trying to show that he was better at the grappling, which is it's a risky move to do that, because if you're doing the wrestling, you're limiting your offense. And he went straight for trying to dominate with control, and he was doing really good with it. Matter of fact, he even put Movsar Evloev on the back foot right off the bat with a little back take from a trip takedown. Like that was great. Movsar just stayed in the game, didn't get frustrated or worried or whatnot. He stayed composed and found moments to win the fight. Because what do we score wins off? What's the criteria? Damage, right? You have to find moments of openings where damage is available. If you take advantage of it, you're able to take advantage of the fight. Doesn't matter how much control you have. And Movsar definitely deserved the win.
Yeah, I will say that, both these guys could probably make first team all body. They were both shredded and ripped up in there. But Movsar, man, that hair's got to go. That hair is fucking atrocious. It's terrible.
Oh, let him have it. It's not that bad. Have you seen some of the skullets that we've seen?
Oh, I said it on Discord. He's ready for the Oasis reunion tour. He's all set.
Oh my god.
All right. Let's move it on to the fight that was initially intended to be Nick Diaz versus Vicente Luque, until Diaz vanished into a puff of smoke. In stepped Temba Garimbo to take his place. Out the window go all the thoughts that Luque's better days may have been behind him, as he catches Garimbo flush, drops him, and immediately sinks in the Anaconda choke and puts his opponent to sleep. Big bounce back W and the 4th and final performance of the night for the, quote, silent assassin, Vicente Luque.
I'm actually just watching the finish now, waiting to get to it.
It's a good one.
It's a good. It's good. It's a little back bounce. God, what that? Those words not working right now. Bounce back performance. Bounce back performance for Vicente Luque. Although it's kind of a gimme because Thembe Garimbo is not that kind of a guy you'd be like, oh yeah, he's future champion. I don't know who the hell would say that, but it's Vicente, needed it. Definitely needed it considering where he was. And thank God we didn't get the other fight, but it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah, now I see it. Yeah.
Garimbo staring up at the sky from the bottom, like, "Where the fuck am I? What happened?" Yeah, great performance. I didn't think against Luque, but yeah, well done, my friend.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming from Luque, especially not after that last performance he had against Buckley. That was a good surprise, a shocking surprise, but a good one. All right, let's move it along to the final fight of our discussion here, the featured bout of the prelims, another matchup of two old geezers, this time in the light heavyweight division. The best fighter ever put on a piece of college-ruled notebook paper, Lionheart Anthony Smith took on Dominic, the lowest common denominator Reyes. Smith said in the build-up that he didn't give a fuck about winning as he dealt with a loss of a close coach and longtime friend. Unfortunate for him that that ended up showing in the results of the fight. Not that Smith didn't have moments, but ultimately the referee would have to step in to save him from the ground and pound of Dominic Reyes for a TKO stoppage, after which the man they call Lionheart would finally call it a career. I think, maybe, possibly. What do you guys think?
Go on, Austin, take it away a moment.
He should fucking retire. What are we fucking doing here? I was having conversations with other people about this, and it's like, dude, we remember Glover Teixeira literally apologizing to him as he was getting his ass handed to him, and his teeth literally picked up off the mat, handing it to the ref, and Glover being like, "I'm sorry, man," and Smith goes, "It is what it is. It's fine." It's like, he should retire. He doesn't need to do this. He's got an analyst job. He doesn't need to do this. It's like if we have to question, I don't know if I want to watch that. Like, gives you the ick. Maybe he shouldn't be fighting. Whoever's in his fucking corner needs to tell him, like, nah, dude, just call it. The day he said, "I will fire my corner if they, throw in the towel on me," that's when I lost a lot of respect for him, because it's like, yeah, you want to go out on your shield, but you guys are your own worst enemy. No one should ever tell their corner that, because if you do, you're not asking for a corner. You're asking for people to just take money from you and tell you kind of coaching stuff. It's stupid. But, and again, it is Anthony Smith who thinks he's better than everybody on paper. So
Yeah. I'm laughing because I was slightly confused there. I'd forgotten about that fight. That's how good it was. But I have the UFC's official results page open, and I've just flicked a screenshot into the Discord where that fight is not recorded as taking place. There's no result for it.
What the fuck?
And I'm not even joking. Yeah, we were saying, I think on a live chat somewhere, Bisping should have had the same talk with Anthony as Joe Rogan had with Brendan Schaub, and just said, "Look, man, this is over for you. Fucking stop it." And I think he did have one attempt here, but he didn't come in hard enough. And hopefully this time he will do, because that was shocking from Anthony Smith. He did have a few moments, and then once he actually got hit pretty hard, he had those few bits where it was opening up, saying like, hit me in the face. Then it's like, oh, okay, no. I think on the other hand, I think I've quite had enough of that, being punched in the face. I'm going to shell up. I'm going to shell up and go to the ground and grab around one of your arms with both my arms and pray that you don't hit me too hard in the face, or can't hit me too hard in the face. Yeah, it's over, man. I hope he has retired his self. Like I said, I didn't listen to much of the broadcast. I was just watching it more than anything else, and listening to the Make Your Minute boys. I'm blaming them again. It's your fault, Long Island Luke.
Yeah, he very half-heartedly retired. Like he said he thinks he is done, but he has to like go home and talk to his family. That whole bullshit. So
yeah.
if his family loves him and they care about him, they're gonna say, "Yeah, you should retire, dude. Like, dad, husband, you need to
100%.
just fucking call it, man.
100%
Just call it.
lazy.
Like,
Come on.
Should have all the boys that believe you me should be on the screen at the same time next time he comes back saying, "That's it, Anthony. Pack it in. We don't want to have to report on another loss by you. Give it up. Say what brain cells you got left."
Well, he said coming into this that he was mainly fighting because he wanted to feel something. Well, congratulations, Anthony. You got to feel something.
Yeah.
You got to feel it. Okay, all right. Let's wrap up today with our traditional card rating because that is all the fights out of the way. Everything is all broken down and sorted like a big bag of Reggie in 2002. That means it is time to rate that card. Woo! Okay, the final pay-per-view of 2024 has come and gone, so let's do our part and give the final card rating of the year as well. A bit emotional, isn't it? No special. Let's hear from you first. Give us your final word and rating on UFC 310.
I mean, interesting because us here that do this podcast, everyone involved, we all said the same thing. We recognize pretty much every single name on the card. That's rare. If you're more of a casual, it's a little harder to kind of appreciate guys like Randy Brown, guys like Mozart Evloev. Aljamain Sterling is his own situation. Anthony Smith, Chris Weidman, Eric Anders. Yeah, there's a litany of group of guys that you can look at and be like, yeah, they're not stars, but they're guys that we all appreciate and watch. And that's not what we get all the time. This is a pay-per-view that was recognizable for the hardcores, and we appreciate that. I appreciate that. It's definitely worth the money. For me, from start to finish, this was an entertaining card. A lot of good fights, a lot of good fighters. 8.5 for me because of, they pulled it out. They pulled it out. UFC finally, got their heads out of their asses and like, hey, you know what? Yeah, let's give the hardcore some, love. Why not? 8.5 for me.
All right. Danger Mouse. Oh, you got more there?
There might be ructions here forthcoming.
Danger Mouse. Okay, another year of fights is behind us. Give us your thoughts and last rating of the year.
Yeah, I said last week that this had all the potential to be a fantastic card because, as Austin just said, there's a lot of known names on there. Even if you're pretty much a casual, I think there's enough to know there. But it just didn't do it for me. I don't know why.
Foo.
I'm thinking I might have to upgrade it ever so slightly from where I was going to go, which is still going to horribly upset Austin. I think he might not talk to me for a week.
Fair, sir.
I'm just looking now, trying to think of the fights that I particularly enjoyed, and short of Bryce Mitchell pounding Colin Gracie's face into the head into the canvas, I didn't enjoy very much. That horrible, terrible decision. 6, and I've gone up. I've gone up from where I was.
Wow.
That's tough.
I would not want you to be my teacher. You'd probably grade my paper very harshly.
Hey.
All right. Well, I don't know if you're listening, Editor Dave, but this is the last hurrah for pay-per-view card ratings for the year. Do you want to jump in here and give yours?
Yeah. I want to give it an 8. It was a good way to close up the year as far as pay-per-views are concerned.
Yeah, I actually agree. For me too, this is a pretty fun ass card. Like Austin was saying, you had names, you had stakes, you had results. Basically, we were treated to pretty much it all. So there's always room for improvement, but it was a good time. I enjoyed it pretty thoroughly, so I will reflect that in my score, and I will give it an 8 as well. Nice big round 8.
Ooh. Maybe if I'd have had a chance to rewatch the prelims, I would have scored it higher, but I'm still not changing my score. Don't want to piss Dave off by making what decisions are difficult to interpret. Do we now, Austin? behind the scenes joke there.
All right, Blood Brothers, I think we've gone along quite enough here, gone on quite enough, because that's going to be all she wrote for this here High Roller episode 33 of the Weekend Roundup. Only one more fight night on the docket for 2024. That's Colby Covington versus Joaquin Buckley, hosted by our boy Danger Mouse. So, like I said, keep it locked here in the coming weeks for a couple of other fun things, possibly. And yeah, we might have some stuff up the sleeve that didn't make this episode, but will be making the air come soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. That's going to just about do it, though, guys. That's a big thank you coming from everybody here at Just Bleed Radio. But we got to get the fuck out of here. For Danger, Steven, Chatri, Dave, No Special, and myself, we're gone. Say goodbye, fellas.
Damn it, I need
Goodbye.
something to say.
We did
What
it.
was that?
Yes.
I didn't hear what Danger said.
I've just realised that it's just reminded me of the other thing I wanted to say about the Alex Pantoja Asakura fight and the call
What
out.
was that?
It was a call out I'd forgotten where I did watch Demetrius Johnson responded to that, and I quote, "You can forget it, my black ass is retired." And it revealed that he had been offered $2 million to come back, but he turned that one down as well.
Damn.
I also saw Left Lane MMA saying that he should come back for that kind of fight. I said, yeah, if he can get, and I quote you, "fuck you" money from the UFC, he should come back. Otherwise, forget it.
For $2 million, they can do a lot more than me.
Yeah, not
He
Demetrius.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair.
He couldn't get fuck you money when he was the champ. How's he
I
fuck?
know,
He ain't getting
yeah.
fucking money now.
Well, now he's in demand. Like they might, like when he was in champ. When he was a champ, most people didn't have any demand for him.
Him and John can come back for $50 million between them.
Yeah.
Yeah, John doesn't deserve $50 million, in my opinion.
No, probably not.
All right, I'm gonna stop recording.
Yeah, cool.
Stop that motherfucking shit. Get that shit out of here.
I picked Choi, not Landwehr.
No, you didn't.
I did. Listen back to it. I said I'm picking Choi.
Okay, hopefully MMA Junkie hears this fucking outtake on Just Bleed Radio, but this fits right in with my whole narrative I started. Hashtag Danny Segura be tripping.
Mm-hmm.
The fuck are you doing? What are you smoking, bro? Come on, man. That's my Uncle Ethan. Uncle Ethan. She kept saying it in the chat, and Uncle Ethan got fucking starched.
Kron immediately threw his legs round him like an enthusiastic lover, and Bryce Mitchell took him down like the bitch he is in that particular case.
Oh, Dave's graphic fucked me up.
Testing your speakers on StreamYard. Sounds like they're working. Have a great show. Testing your speakers on StreamYard. Sounds like they're working. Have a great show.